one of my new favorite XPS baits that have come out. It's the new Staredown Jerkbait. And if you look at it, these eyes, big eyes, but they're staring down at the fish. That's key for me. They make a deep runner like this, and they also make a shallow runner. So when it comes to my jerkbait setup, you want a really limber rod. So this is a 6'9" medium. You don't want a real long rod because you'll be jerking it down into the water. So the one thing about it is 6'9" medium setup. Because when you hook that fish, you know, he's down there and he's fighting. You want that rod to really be flexible compared if you're throwing like a chaos shad, you just want to horse that fish all the way in. So there's a big difference in rods when you're throwing jerk baits compared to topwater. So when it comes to throwing the stare down, one thing you want to do is kind of find where those fish are in the water column. So if they're up in the water column, you want to throw a heavier line, say like a 14 to 17 pound XPS fluorocarbon. And if not, if they're down deeper, then of course the big difference is if you throw 10 or 12, then that bait's going to go deeper. So one thing about a jerk bait when you're throwing it is make sure that you got the right line depending on where the fish are in the water column. So a jerk bait, you know, typically you're going to work that bait slow if the fish are lethargic. So I'm not throwing an 8:3 to 1 gear ratio. I'm going to drop down to like a 6:3 to 1, something like that, because you don't need that high speed reel when you're throwing a jerk bait. When it comes to a jerk bait, the XPS Staredown is the one that I'm going to go to. It's got great hooks. You don't need to change anything on it. Get it right out of the package. There's one right there. Just a little guy. But had to have the Staredown. So that bait was down there and those eyes were, you know, when it comes, it goes, and those eyes just sit there and that bait's just ready to catch a big bass. And that's one thing that's really cool about this bait is it suspends and it can really catch some really big fish throughout the year.